everybody. Welcome back to another AutoCrit Pep Talk. We are so excited that you are here with us today. How's everybody doing? Hello, hello. Got a whole bunch of people on. Feels funny to be here in the same time zone. Good to see you all. Good to see you playing catch up. You're stuck again. Oh, we're going to get through the stuck stuff though. Yep. We got Team Planters on. Great to see you all. Hello. Hey, Steph and Karen and Debbie and Wendy. Yeah, good to see everybody. Okay. Well, we are here to talk about our finding community today. We've talked about defeating imposter syndrome and all kinds of other things. You can see the past versions of our pep talks in our YouTube channel. But today we're going to focus on something a little different, which is the community element. So if this is your first time, I see Allie, this is your first time. Welcome. And we're going to walk through what community is, how to find community, what exactly you need them for, all that good stuff. And if you have questions, drop them for us and we'll pull them up. But with that, let's get started. So first off, what is community? And this is a question for you guys. When you hear the word community in the context of writing and publishing, what do you think? Team confused. Team planner. So right now, AutoCrit is doing a Novel 90 writing challenge, which is free to join. And it is literally the halfway mark today, but it is 100% free to join. You can come sign up for it if you'd like. The Novel 90 Writing Challenge is also going to come this fall. So here's the link that'll take you to both challenges if you want to pre-register for the fall and get on board. But these teams that we're talking about are teams for that challenge where you pick sort of your writing style and get paired up with a coach. I coach Team Pantser, Becca coaches Team Planter, and Kat is coaching Team Planner. So let's see, got some great answers here. Let's see, collaboration, people with similar hopes. Got some more team shout outs. Community, I'm a sad loner. Oh, people going through the same thing. Like-minded authors. Community is where you can talk about your writing, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Fellow writers for support, feedback, collaboration. And this is a great point. Heather has had some mixed experiences, and I think that's the case for a lot of us who've been writing for a while, that we have to look for community. We have to find our people. Sometimes it takes a little more time. Support, feedback, collab, encouragement. Got a good recommendation for neurodivergent writing community on Discord. We're actually going to talk about Discord in a little bit. All right, so there's a lot of different ideas behind what community is, and there's 3 essential pillars that make up community for writers. We're going to go through what those 3 pillars are today. But in a at a glance nutshell view, community comes down to all different kinds of people involved with our writing process and some who aren't involved at all. We can have peers, we can have mentors, editors, readers, reviewers, our fluffy 4-footed companions, our family, our friends, and they all play different roles in this bigger picture version of community. And what happens is a lot of us latch on to one of the 3 pillars of community and we try to find one that works. And because we have trouble finding that one, we don't realize that these other 2 also need to be addressed. So I'm going to encourage you today because I am an introvert through and through. And I know that a lot of other writers are also introverts, that you do not have to run away with hives and be like, oh no, I don't want to hear about socialization. Not all of these community elements require you to be super social and on lives and showing up for group writing sprints if that's not your kind of thing. If it is your kind of thing, great. If not, Remember that you can be as active or inactive with community elements as you want. So the key is finding a community that fosters encouragement, that fosters positivity, that fosters a way for you to grow and for you to give back while being as active or inactive as best fits your life and your desires, right? Writing can be a lonely journey. It doesn't have to be a lonely journey, right? All right. So remember, you're not alone. And as an introvert, my thought when I put this slide together was like, oh, literally, I'm not alone. Terror. But no, you're not alone in that most of us writers are just trying to get our books done. Okay. Going into this finding a writer community was not on the top of my priority list. I came into the AutoCrit community as a lifetime member in 2019, but I came into the AutoCrit community originally just to get a book edited and done, not to connect with a whole bunch of people and then have people to talk about books with and then have to navigate the social awkwardness that comes with this kind of stuff. But the community is why I stayed at AutoCrit in the end. It's why I decided to buy a lifetime membership, besides how much it saved me on editing my first book, was because of the community here. And even if the community that you find isn't at AutoCrit, we want you to find your people, the people that go, hey, I didn't plan to connect with you guys. I didn't plan to be super social, but now you're stuck with me. So enjoy. All right. Why do we need community? The pros and cons here of what we need them for. Well, to understand why we even need community, we have to understand the three pillars of writing communities. The first pillar is emotional and mental support. The second pillar is creative support and honest feedback. And the third pillar is professional support and guidance. So we're going to walk through what each of these are exactly. You really need a good balance of your writing weight across these three pillars all together to keep your writing community side of your journey from tumbling over. If all you have is an emotional and mental support group helping you through writing and you don't have professional support, professional guidance, creative support, or honest feedback, you have one pillar and your book is going to topple over. It's not going to have balance. If you only have creative support and professional support and you skip out on honest feedback and skip out on creative support, then you're going to have a sagging middle in the middle of your book story, right? We need these three elements to come together to help us be the best versions of ourselves. And remember that we receive so much more by giving. Community needs to be a two-way street. Yes, other people are supporting us. Other people are giving us honest feedback. Other people are helping us brainstorm, but we need to also be open to helping others because we become better writers by helping other people work through their writing problems. So there's this give and take in community in these pillars. So the first pillar is emotional and mental support. Often when writers say that they want community, this is the part they actually want the most, but they go the wrong places. They actually go to our second pillar, hoping to find emotional and mental support. The emotional and mental support pillar are people who lift each other up as people. And last year I had this light bulb moment, and I'm going to share this light bulb moment with you guys. I'm curious to see your experience. I had this light bulb moment that emotional and mental support as a writer does not have to come from other bookish people. Gasp. We are so entrenched with our free time and our energy in bookish things that sometimes we forget that we're going to have friends and family outside of bookish things who know us as people, who love us as people, who we get to know and do things with outside of the books. I know it's hard to believe, but outside of the books, because they care about us as people. This emotional and mental support stage can cross into good writer friends who care just as much about your emotional and mental well-being as they do how good your craft is, but they don't have to be. So if you're excluding people from your process because I don't want to be the person who talks about my book all the time to people who don't want to hear it, then that's relatable and understandable. But maybe there's things that you can connect with those people on that aren't writing related, that keep your internal health, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being at its peak. Because if you don't have your health, if you don't have your own happiness with where you are, it makes it so hard to pour out creativity. So this is the first and probably one of the most important ones. I also throw my cat Sophie into this bubble. She keeps me emotionally on track and has absolutely nothing to do with my books. She has no interest at all. But yeah. So, and these don't have to be people you know in person. These could be people that you met online. These could be people, excuse me, that you game with. For example, if you're a gamer girl, gamer guy, maybe this is the kind of person or people that you unplug. For a minute, I am not bookish Catherine. I am regular Catherine who just needs to be myself outside of this. And if you're going to write for a living, having a life outside of your books, having hobbies outside of your books will make your books more valuable to you and will make the time you spend on them more purposeful than if you put your entire life into the book. So that is going to be balanced out with the help of these people who pull you away from time to time. So they don't have to read your books. They don't have to understand your books. We're not confusing this group with the second pillar we're about to talk about. We are just going here because we need people to pour into, to lift up as people, and they are going to do the same for us. All right. Next, creative support and honest feedback. Oh, your cats are your best editors. I love that, Rita. All right. Creative and honest feedback. When we talk about community as writers, this is often the kinds of communities we end up going to. And we end up going here wanting creative support for our books, wanting honest feedback from other writers, wanting advice, wanting tips, wanting personal experience. But we also subconsciously, if we haven't been doing this very long, maybe expecting them to give us the emotional and mental support from point one. And some writer groups are just not built that way. So a lot of times what happens when someone connects with a writer circle that doesn't work for them, it's because of a confusion in expectations. So when you go find your writer community, which we'll talk about today in just a little bit, you have to ask yourself, what do I want exactly? Am I looking for a community that's going to be there mentally and emotionally, and we're going to be friends, and we're going to write, and they're going to give feedback, and I'm going to give feedback to them, and we're going to be here like this big family? Or is this strictly transactional, meaning I will read your first chapter and you will read my first chapter, or I'll help you brainstorm, and when you need help brainstorming, you ask me. But beyond that, let's not talk about real life. Let's not talk about what's going on with this health crisis or this death in the family or this issue with my job, because those can have these completely different separations. And if you find yourself in the wrong group, you don't have the same expectations, it can lead to over or under sharing, over or under participating, and then awkwardness ensues, right? So you have to know up front which thing you want. And, Mary's saying you're an introvert working on being more outgoing. It's okay to be the way you are. If you're introverted, there are tons of writer groups for introverted people. I love the AutoCrit community because people here are genuine. They give me honest feedback, honest advice, but they do so remembering I'm human. And beyond that, I don't have to connect more in the forums if I'm not comfortable doing so. If my social energy is low and I don't have anything else to give today, and I don't have to feel guilty about it. Like if I was maybe in a critique group where every single day I'm supposed to share somebody else's chapter, feedback on somebody else's chapter, or I'm going to get pressure for not participating, right? There are groups for everybody. You just have to find the right one. So we're talking about creative support and honest feedback. You can be talking about a lot of different people, but it's going to be more focused on getting your actual book written, getting your book out, talking about the craft, talking about the trade. If the people in your group show they care about you, it becomes easier to hear feedback from them as well. Exactly, Evans. Yep. All right. And then the last pillar we have here is our professional support and guidance pillar. And when we talk about community, we actually don't usually think about this pillar because this is the pillar that requires our money. Paid professionals or goodwill mentors, people who agree to be your mentor for free because they like you, they're part of your community already from one of the other two groups, something like that, who provide writing, editing, publishing services, or one-to-one coaching on the craft and the trade. The reason this is included in community is because you have to network to find these people. You need referrals from other friends. You need to vet them, which then sets you up in a situation where you can refer other people to them. Your experience and the way you share that experience with others is going to change where readers find this missing vital piece of their writing and publishing journey. So these are actual human beings. They are human editors, they are human formatters, they are human cover designers who are looking to help you get your piece out. But they are professionals. They have no interest usually in going super, super deep into your personal life. So they're not going to fit that emotional support pillar. And they're also not necessarily there to just brainstorm with you and give you honest feedback for free. These are the people in your life who are here to do a service for you, right? Other people included in this are going to be your audiobook narrators, coaches, mentors, your personal assistants, the people who schedule all your social media posts, who help you write all your emails if you have enough income coming in from your books to be fortunate enough to get a PA. That's part of your community, right? Accountants who are helping you budget what you're going to spend on this journey and be very honest with you about what you can spend and what you can't. People you pay for trade editorial reviews, and of course your editors themselves are all going to make up that last pillar of your community element. So since it's pretty safe to say we do need community to a degree, the bigger question is, how do we find a community? And not just that, how do we find a community that actually works for us as people so that we don't keep getting burned, right? Like Karen shouting out that you like the AutoCrit community, they're so open to others and helping others. Exactly. But other people haven't had the same positive experiences, right? Let's see here. All right. And just saw a little note about imposter syndrome. We actually have a pep talk about imposter syndrome. Yeah. And I love the idea of having a character, your inner critic, telling you these things, right? All right. So, how do we find community? First, for the emotional and mental support pillar, that pillar that doesn't have to be writers, that is there to help you make sure that you are taking care of yourself emotionally and mentally, and who you can pour non-creative aspects of your life into person to person and have human connection. This is going to be friends, whether they're friends that you made in school, friends that you made online through similar hobbies, people that you sit and binge watch Netflix over Twitch with. Friends are going to be the number one group here, your found family. Then you've got your reader groups. When you're looking for reader groups for emotional and mental support, though, you are usually going to look for people who read similarly to you, and you're going to take off your author hat. I don't like reader groups that I interact with to really know that I'm a writer. When they find out, it is extremely awkward because then they inevitably want to read my book, and then that puts us all in the awkward situation of, I can't honestly tell you if I genuinely liked it or not because you're in my circle, right? So take off your author hat to engage with people who just like content the same way you do. And as you get to know each other, one day they may find out you're a writer, but at that point, hopefully it's not quite as awkward. On the other hand, you can have writer groups that are all about the positivity. I was part of a community for a little while that I was invited to from a friend. It was an all women's group. Most of us were moms. Most of us were working full time. We were trying to figure out how to break into publishing. And it also had dedicated time on Zoom calls to sit down and work on our craft with our toddlers running around in the background being wild, with our own craziness, with only the 10 minutes I had working my corporate job on lunch break. And we would get together and do that. That kind of writer group was intentionally there for emotional and mental support plus craft. And they will tell you what kind of group they are. When you find these groups on Facebook, you find these groups on Discord, you find these groups, the AutoCrit forums or other platforms, take a look at the vibe that's already there. See what people are talking about. See what kind of support you're going to be getting from them. Is it going to be here, or is it going to be in that more distanced, this is here for creativity, this is here for feedback only? Family. Not all of us have family that is open to our bookish stuff, but we might still have family that loves us. And if that's you, don't rule out family time to solely give everything to the creative process. Family is important. We can't get time back with our loved ones. And I'm speaking to myself here as much as I am to, to you guys. If you are fortunate enough to have family with whom you can spend your life, make some time to put emotional and mental effort into them, and they will put the same into you, even if your books never come up in conversation. And you can also find yourself a found family through these friend groups, through these other circles, right? Colleagues, you could be surprised how much your coworkers care about this amazing transition you're taking. Now, some of them might try to pull you down because they're jealous. Some of them might not think you're making any sense. They might think that there's no logical or financial reason to be doing this and not get it. But they're there with you 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, sitting right beside you. You can bet they're going to have an emotional and mental impact. So whether you tell them a lot or very, very little, you might want to consider them part of that circle. And then finally, don't leave out your pets, you guys, even if they're not furry pets. I know we have some bird pet owners here and someone that had a lizard or two. Your pets are a huge part of your mental and emotional support. Go out and spend some time with the cat when things get wrong, right? For a little while, I didn't have any pets, and I had this stuffed animal pig from Seven Deadly Sins, the anime, and it was Hawk the pig, and it was huge. It was like bigger than my head. And I would carry it to work because I was still working my corporate 9 to 5. And we would say, pass the pig when things would get stressful. And we would pass this stuffed pig from desk to desk, and the pig would hang out there for a little while. Same general idea, right? Something that's there that isn't expecting anything back really from you in exchange, that's just there to offer you a little bit of support and a moment to blink. So there is no judgment from the AutoCrit team if instead of a real pet, you have your version of Hawk the pig. Oh, you've got a Jigglypuff. I love it. Yes. All right. So moving on, how do we find creative support and honest feedback groups for that pillar, right? There's several options that you have here, but keep what we said earlier about expectations in mind. Instead of getting super excited and joining a group who happens to write the same genre as you, join and then take some time to scroll through. Get a feel for the vibe. Who is speaking? Who replies? Is this a kind of place where a lot of people are talking, or does hardly anybody talk? When they do talk, is it trade? Is it family? That way you don't go in with expectations too high or too low, and then you know what kind of investment. If everybody in there seems to be posting every single day, they're probably going to expect you to post every day. If everybody in there is talking about their kids and work and life, then you are probably going to be expected to share something like that. And if that stuff makes you uncomfortable, there's other groups that don't. So go somewhere else, go to a different group and check them out. And on the opposite side, if you go into the group and it's strictly writing focused, we're not going to deviate here. We're not going to get off into the doldrums. We're solely talking writing and publishing. Then maybe that isn't the place to come if you need someone who's there to be that emotional backup. So writing communities online, please be safe when you're online, you guys. Don't give out your personal information to people you don't know. Be careful how you send out files and who you send them to and all of that good stuff. Local writing groups, if you enjoy meeting in person, the thought of meeting in person makes me extremely nervous. And I guess that just speaks to my social awkwardness and my introversion. But the thought of meeting with other writers in person makes me a whole lot more nervous than doing a writing sprint with you guys here, like the one I'm going to do today at 3 p.m. Eastern. I enjoy getting together with my AutoCrit community and writing online. So much less stress. You don't even have to turn your camera on the first few times if you don't want to. Nobody cares. We're just here to get the work done. Okay. So local writing groups can be a place to connect. You can find those by Googling them. Nowadays, Google's an amazing thing. Look into word of mouth groups. So if you have friends who are local who also write, where do they hang out? You can meet up with some of these groups through library systems, through education systems, through local universities. Just start peeking around and asking around. Critique groups are groups that are usually very, very business facing. That means that they are here to critique your work and you will critique back. That's pretty much solely what they are. So when you look writing group on Facebook versus critique group, you will be actively critiquing and other people will critique you. And the value of insight you get from those critiques may vary depending on whether those are readers or writers or editors. And so it's not always going to be a fair trade. But critique groups can be good, safe, fun places to get critiques done in a timely manner. Social media writing groups, on the other hand, sort of like AutoCrit's Facebook group, is designed to give you information you need to write. So new tools, tips, questions about the actual writing journey. Sometimes these groups dip into emotional and mental support. It's more about just writing in general and not really required for critique. Beta readers. Beta readers can come from your own readers, your existing readers. If you are already published, can be part of this support group. Take advantage. Do a big thing where you say, I'm going to randomly draw, using the wheel of names, 5 of you readers to get an advanced reader copy of the book. And this is not going to be the published version. This is a beta reader copy. I'm just looking for honest feedback. You can ask for recommendations from other people in your writing circles for beta readers. You can do swaps with other writers to get beta reader feedback on your book's plot and pacing and world building and stuff like that. And then networking. Networking is key here. Connecting with other authors, which I personally went about by finding the authors who wrote the comp books to my book, who are indie, following them, watching what they post, interacting with what they post, reading their books, talking about their books on my own YouTube channel, and then getting to know them as people, and then inviting them to interview, and then they're introducing me to their friends. That process snowballs into a bigger community of people who know you, who are willing to bring in other authors to your circle, and who can help lift you up in this community. You can find these communities through contests that have forums attached to them. You can find these networking opportunities through interviews, through anthologies. There's so many different options to network with other authors. You can do book shares through things like BookFunnel and connect with other writers that way. So there's a lot of different options for all of this. I do recommend very highly, though, that you don't undervalue the worth of a good networking opportunity, especially if you're going to make this your career. All right. Finally, professional support and guidance. For this last tier, because this is more of that paid side, I highly recommend word of mouth recommendations. This is the number one way I work with people, is because I have talked to other writers from that second pillar who told me that these people were worth using. Okay. If someone in the chat shouts out that they have an instructor or a mentor or an editor that they like, you're more likely to look it up if you trust this community and if you trust this person than you are some random Google ad, right? So go ahead and ask for those word of mouth recommendations. Reliable author service listings, such as the Alliance of Independent Authors watchdog list, such as the Reezy Discovery vetted list of service providers and agents, such as the manuscript wish list view of agents. These are all vetted listings by reliable sources. Then we have third-party platforms like Fiverr and Upworks if you're looking solely for author services that give you insight into actual reviews from people who have worked with these people when you don't have the option for word of mouth recommendation, and then you can get connected with those professionals that way. And then well-vetted individuals and companies. If you want to get a cover design, for example, Becca and I have both talked about using Get Covers and Get Premades as personal, non-AutoCrit recommendations for our book covers. Now, before I worked with them, I didn't know anybody who had worked with them. So I spent a lot of time on Google, Googling things like, do they use AI-generated content in any portion of their cover process? Do I get commercial use rights? Looking at their portfolio. Then I spent a little money to get a test cover to see if I even liked their work before I invested the whole enchilada. So vetting individuals and companies that you want to work with very thoroughly before you use them could help round out this final pillar. All right. So with that, we're going to wrap up our pep talk. Thank you, Shayla. Otter critters are my tribe. Yes. So AutoCrit does have a community built into it. If you have not heard of AutoCrit before, AutoCrit is primarily a program that helps you plan, write, edit, format, and market your novels. But there's a heavy community piece to it that opens up community forums, live writing sprints, live member events, free classes, all of this stuff every month. So you can give AutoCrit a look here. This week, for example, we have writing sprints today at 3, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. And we're bringing all of this stuff together to work with the community to get our challenge books for this free challenge done. And those writing sprints cost nothing. You just have to be a member, just a free member. Join in. We also have those forums there for pro members. And if you're participating in the challenge, there's a free community for you in the AutoCrit Basecamp where you can come connect with other real writers in this challenge without paying a penny. And yeah, yesterday we did a pro member group story doctor session. We do have pro member events several times every month where we bring in instructors or editors or guests who talk about writing specifically for our pro members. And we just want to give you guys the most information that we can, connect you with the community as best we can, and then help you grow with your writing journey from there. All right, everyone. I wish you all the best. We'll be back next week with another pep talk. If you would give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, it would be a huge help to our channel. We have more pep talks on our YouTube channel if you joined late, and you can catch up with all of those there. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.